Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for hitting play. I'm excited to have you as a listener today to a very exciting topic. My guest today, Nicole, who's going to introduce herself in just a moment. Truth be told, I stalked her a little bit on Instagram, looked at her LinkedIn, was, trying to vibe with what her mission and vision is specifically around financial. And then one of her favorite words is financial, or double word is financial freedom. And I really wanted to start to feed the exceptional admins community with things not only career related, but life related under the lifestyle category that we have launched this year in 2024. So, Nicole is my guest today. And Nicole, thank you so much for jumping here. By the way, we have an audience, and there's people who've logged in onto this Zoom with us to get this information before it goes public on the show. So, be sure to check out our calendar events page to see whenever we're going to be doing this again. And Nicole, thank you so much for dropping in here. I know we're both in Colorado, so it's kind of funny to point that out. That was like a little added bonus. We haven't met in person yet, so it's our first virtual time to meet together. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm excited to have you here on the show.
Oh my gosh, thanks for inviting me. The second we met, I knew we would have a great conversation about money. So I'm excited to jump in and be unfiltered here.
Which is awesome. And let's just go right in. You have a really great story. It's relatable. Let's hear that here at the top, what it was that you were doing and that landed you to where you're adding so much value in the financial world, specifically also with women today.
Yeah, so I am the owner of Arise Financial Coaching. We are an online financial coaching company. And it's funny because most people think that if you're a financial coach, you just grew up, you're always good with maybe you had a parent who taught you how to deal with money. But that's actually not the case at all. My passion for personal finance started because I was the most anxious wreck with money.
Mm.
Growing up, my parents, they made good money. But they had a different approach. My dad was a very intense saver, but like an anxious type, and my mom was a spender. And so I
Mm.
saw the two of them just go head to head pretty much my whole childhood,
Totally. Mhm.
back and forth. And I remember thinking to myself as a young kid, like, how is this possible? Like, my dad's a software engineer for Microsoft. Like, why are we stressing about money? And it was then that I started to realize that it wasn't necessarily about how much money you made, but more so about how you managed it that really would
Mhm.
dictate how you would feel about your money. So I had two big wake up calls. The first was when I was in high school, my dad let me know that my college fund was gone. And that was a big wake up call for
Oh,
me.
wow. That's a
So I
heavy
realized, wow,
chest thump. Okay.
this is very serious. Um, and then the second wake up call for me was actually when I got married to my husband. I got married really young, best decision of my life.
Me too.
But as we were
Mhm.
planning our wedding, I started to get panic attacks regularly while balancing our budget.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I remember just adding up the numbers again and again to plan our wedding and feeling like I looking at him and saying, if we can't afford a wedding, how the hell are we ever going to afford a life
Yeah,
together?
seriously.
Right?
Yeah.
Um, and that actually affected me a ton. I feel that it took the joy out of my
Mm.
engagement. I was upset on my wedding day about a
Oh,
financial
shit. Oh, that's
something.
not good.
Yeah. And, I had like the love of my life, the best first marriage year basically ruined because I was a stress ball about
Oh,
money.
darn it.
Um, I would call him just for, obsessing about our student loans and about, you know, just money related issues. And so I did two things. The first is I went to therapy because I realized, okay, I'm really stressing. And that was
Yeah.
awesome. And
Okay.
then the second
Love
thing I
that.
did was I decided to get mentorship and advice with our money, that I wanted to become
Mm.
somebody who was good with money. Um,
Mhm.
so we kind of decided we would go headfirst into the personal finance world and really change our life. So in our early or mid 20s, we paid off all of our student debt, all of our consumer debt. And we were able to build our family's net worth to over $250,000 in a few years. And we did it on an average salary of 56,000 a year. So I
That's
share
so key. That's so key. I'm so glad you share that. Yeah.
I share that because I know that like we view money as like, well, once we have enough of it, then we can become better with it. And
Absolutely.
that change was so drastic in my life that just naturally I started helping friends, family. I didn't know what financial coaching was. I didn't know there
Mhm.
was a whole industry that was booming where people were deciding that they wanted to have different financial help other than just,
Mhm.
paying someone to manage their money for them. People wanted to
Right.
disempowered. So I did it for free for a few years, and then I realized, oh,
Oh,
financial coaching
wait.
is a thing. People
Revenue stream, income. Yeah.
yeah, right? So I launched my business in COVID of 2020.
Good for you. Look at
And
that.
it's, over 600 clients later. We now have a small team. It's another team member and I. We're looking to hire another person this year, but it's been a
Cool.
dream because basically the most empowering thing for me was when I learned my money's something that I can either make a good thing in my life or it can
Oh my,
continue to be the enemy in my life.
I have so
And
much to say. I'm so excited because that's so
yeah,
true. Hmm.
yeah, and that's ultimately what financial coaching is it's people who know, okay, right now I have a negative relationship with my money.
Yeah.
That's I don't actually have to stay there. And that's a
Yeah.
really exciting and hopeful thing.
There's an Abraham Lincoln quote, and I actually recorded a podcast episode last night, and I said this to him as well on the show, is you are as happy as the thoughts you have about happiness. I'm not saying it accurately. It's Abraham Lincoln essentially saying that what and this is so common sense, right? Whatever thoughts you have is what you're subscribing to, right? And so if your thoughts aren't happy, then to your point, you're subscribing to the enemy. And it's interesting. I grew up in a single mother household in a
Mm,
very low income area in Southern Florida where the national low income average was 14% and we were in 20%.
mm,
And single mom, two jobs. We had roommates in the house when I was young. My parents divorced when I was 5. So I had no introduction to any good or fully evil. It was just very cloudy on money.
yeah.
And I was the kid who
Rival.
had free and reduced breakfast and lunch all through elementary and middle school. And so then when I became an adult, I didn't know about money, which I can see now at 44, like, nope, let's not spend that. Like, let's just hold it really like purse to the chest. And so I can absolutely understand that mindset. Whereas my husband, parents married forever, family vacations, bought cars, like, and, finances were flowing and steady and regulated on, although my husband, he'll listen to this. He had a problem buying cars. He's come full circle. Bless his
Yeah,
heart.
yeah.
Bless his heart. But it's an enemy thing. And then if you don't know about it, which I get mad about school, they don't teach you about taxes. They don't teach you about a checkbook, which yeah, maybe the parents could do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. I come back. I love it. Your story is relatable.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, you know, we often don't talk about how personal finance is also an experience, like you said, right? Psychologists have done studies at Cambridge showing that our money mindset is actually set by age 7,
Oh,
right?
oh my
That's
gosh.
super
Oh
young,
my
which means
God.
that if our money mindset is set by age 7, then that means our money mindset is our parents, and then our
Mm,
parents is their parents, right? And
yeah.
it just goes back, through the generations. And
Yeah.
so, really approaching this topic as an adult is saying, I think that
That's a lot
I'm
of catch
smarter
up.
now
Yeah.
than I was when I was 7. I'm willing to maybe update this.
Is
It's
that the
not
money story?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what your
So
money story is.
tell us about embracing your money story and what prompted a money story and how using this, with your clients has helped them.
Yeah, so I think that we often just take our money story or we take our experiences with money as truth,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mm,
we look at our childhoods and they were true. They were our experience. Like for you, like you said, growing up, free and reduced lunch, you had this experience where I don't have enough,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's a true experience. That's a real experience. And therefore, that experience really shapes the person you are today.
Hmm.
But very often, we don't actually examine that story.
Mm,
We often just live on autopilot. And that's
so
really
true.
what the beauty of discovering your money story is your money story is like really a starting point
Mm,
for the rest of your experience with money. The
yeah.
problem with your money story can be when it just controls you and you're
Uh-huh.
like, oh, well, I don't have enough. Oh, well, I don't have enough. Or in some, the flip side, let's say somebody grows up in a really affluent household and they always knew that they did have enough. And now they're adults and they have so much debt, right?
Hmm.
That's an example of living on autopilot
Yeah.
of money story. And your money story is one that you can actually be a co-creator of. Your childhood is only one part of it. Your adulthood is the next part. And so
Mm,
seeing and examining it and deciding how would I like it to be is something really powerful that
mm.
I don't think a lot of adults give themselves the permission
They
to do things.
don't. Favorite
We're often
word, permission.
afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we're often afraid that what if we hope for something and it doesn't happen, which I think is why this can be sometimes avoided, like
Yeah.
looking at the story.
And because it's been advertised at least as my financial knowledge has grown through the years, especially as an entrepreneur. It's like, wait, what's that? What am I wait, what am I doing? Right. And there's this whole new book that is forever thousands of pages of just information. But what you're talking about makes me think it's intimidating.
Yeah.
And then someone throws in stock market and you're like, bonds, what? And then money markets and like 401k. Sure, I kind of understand that. And you just sort of make that deposit. And I think that's the part where it causes, and you're the expert on this, but this is my outside perception. It causes someone to just, I don't want to deal with it because I'm already tired with all the other things I'm dealing with. I'm just going to keep pushing along. And I'm sure you would absolutely approve of this. The longer you wait, this more struggle you have later on that one thing that you love that we'll be talking about is that financial freedom. And I really love that the conversation with you is starting in that mindset. Mindset is so powerful. I've changed my mindset. So my money story has changed because I've
Yeah.
invested a lot of time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it is overwhelming for people, right? Like, um, and I always love to bring up the fact that it's a marketing scheme from the
Mm,
financial industry
yep.
to make women particularly believe that finances are too complicated. Like they use those big words for us to make us feel like, oh, this is just too much.
No, I don't need
Oh,
to.
this
You
isn't a
do.
girl's thing,
Right.
right? When really what I always tell people is like all of us women, we're educated, right? We do better in school. We are smart, right?
Yes, we are
There's a
smart.
if you give yourself permission to
Hmm.
say, I'd like to learn about this versus the shame of, I don't understand this, therefore I could never, or
Yeah.
therefore it's too intimidating, it's a totally different angle to approach the subject. Because I've seen, with the hundreds of people that I've worked with, the hundreds of women that once they're taught and, give themselves the permission to learn about investing or to learn about finances, they're like, oh, this was easier than I thought.
Shame on me maybe for not sooner, but then great for the timing because now I have someone like Nicole to carry me through that journey and get to the other side. I love that. And we've covered stress, mindset. You can talk about avoiding financial stress and becoming financially independent. Where have you seen mental health, which you're already been kind of peppering that in, mental health and financial health? Like I just see it weaving a fabric of enemy.
Mm.
Just
Yeah, I
not
think that
great.
people we like to think of finances as a purely mathematical skill. It's something completely logical. Therefore, right? You are either good at this, you know the facts, you don't know the facts, you do it well or you don't. Like it's very black
Mhm.
and white. When finances are extremely tied to our
Mhm.
mental health, our social health, our self-esteem, uh,
Self-esteem, yep.
our view on the world, right? Like
Mm.
our finances are connected to so much that I often tell people that when we have problems in our finances, it's actually a really great blueprint that guides us to the problems we're having in our life.
Say that again. A
When
really
you
great blueprint.
have
Yeah.
financial struggles, they are often a blueprint that help you discover the problems that you are having in life. They're
Mm.
just a symptom.
Wow. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, when we separate ourselves, we say, "Oh, that's just a money problem. I'm just having trouble with logic or with this or with that." What we're doing is we're distancing ourselves from a really great clue. What I find
Mhm.
often for people who are struggling with income, there is some struggles with self-confidence,
Yeah.
with marketing themselves,
Oh, yeah.
um, taking risks, fear of rejection. Those can often be some of the problems or the things that are going on that we can actually work on to improve
Yeah.
it,
Mhm.
right? Somebody who's struggling with overspending or is often struggling with something else in their life,
Yeah.
right? Like, are they feeling not loved by their community? Is that the way that they're showing themselves love? Is that the way that they show other people love? Are they trying to compensate
I just
for
wrote down
being
love language. My mother-in-law's love language is gifts. She loves to shop. She loves to shop.
yeah,
She's not a QVC shopper, but she loves to shop, loves to shop, loves to shop. She taught my husband that love was through spending. So we had
yes.
to course correct my husband. I love you, honey. But yes, we had to course correct. Okay, keep going.
Yes,
So
exactly.
overspending. Yeah.
And that could be a little bit from his money story, right? But What's funny is that when somebody says, "Oh, my money can't be improved," what they're essentially
Oh, they're
saying is,
subscribing. Yeah.
I don't believe my life can improve."
Mm,
And that's the biggest tragedy, right?
yeah.
Um, so I think if you can look at it through that lens, and also knowing too that nobody's perfect with money. Money is a lifelong journey that we're always trying to improve. It takes some refining. It is not something you just have or you don't. It's not a skill
Right.
that some people were blessed with. It really is a journey of like self discovery and personal growth.
And it's so much, and I would say the gift of today is just people like you, and then being able to find you like on social media, that, and then just the wealth of information,
Yeah.
right? And it comes down to, which I talk about often, is like, do you have the energy though to invest in this? And just like if you learned you're a type 2 diabetic, you have to find the energy to correct that for the health and well being so that you can literally do everything in your life. And so I believe that in the case of one wanting to get time with you and have this conversation to share this with the community, is it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's a lifeline that, and granted, we're not talking about like the actual paper cash, right? Yeah, that's great. That's a part of this. But the
Yes.
psychology and that connection to the money, which yes, pays your bills, puts the lights on, allows you to have technology to do the things that we're doing here. I love that. And the lifelong journey part, I cannot drill that into my audience enough. And they hear that enough from me. So they're like, might be rolling their eyes like, here she is again. Like, I got to keep learning, which, we're created for connection and having a sense of purpose. And if you really are intrigued and inspired, especially with the passion that Nicole is sharing with us, it's totally worth it.
Mm.
And unsubscribing from fast, and I might actually segue us great to the next question. Um, Unsubscribing to instant satisfaction, right? We all want that dopamine reward. And I say it's a long game. It's an absolute long game. Yeah. If you could speak to your younger self, what's one thing you would advise for becoming financially independent?
Um, I think if I could tell myself something when I was younger, it would be that um, start investing. And it would also be you don't need to feel bad when you spend money on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know a lot of women, I experienced that a lot as in my youth was the idea of a woman being frivolous and so, like if she spends on this or if she spends on that, like if I buy myself a shirt, I kind of need to feel a little bad about it.
Right.
That's
Right.
actually just, the patriarchy. That's just like men spend money on themselves all the time. They don't have that inner dialogue that we do. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, if you have like a shopping addiction, that's a different story. I'm not talking about having that for myself, but really just this idea that money is like a moral issue,
Oh,
like
yeah.
how I spend it, what I do with it. It's somehow a reflection of who I am, if I'm good, if I'm bad. A lot of women use their money to kind of be the judge of
Yeah.
who they are.
Hmm.
Um, Really, if I could have flipped that and said, Nicole, money is just a magnifier of who you are,
Mm.
right? And that's good. And it's not perfect. And there's error and there's awesome things. And like, it's not something that defines you. You can define it.
Oh, that's so beautiful. You can truly define it. Two personal stories totally connected to what you just said. One, I tell my younger self, it's going to be okay.
Mhm.
Obviously, when you're in the moment, you don't know that. And I'll never forget when I started to make money owning this company. We were in New York City. It was Christmas of 2018. And I walked into a shoe store and I dropped, with even blinking, $225 on a pair of black Uggs that I had always wanted. And I'm frugal because of my money story.
Yeah.
And I actually got emotional leaving the store holding the bag because I didn't pause. And
Mm.
that was huge in that, like, my relationship with money and treating myself, which is exactly what you were just talking about. And I'm not materialistic,
Right.
but I
Yeah.
really wanted them. And I thought, I can do this. I've
Yeah.
earned this $225 shoes because of like the hustle and celebration of what I'm building as a business owner. Now, on the flip side, I'm at TJ Maxx and I'm with my 14-year-old and I
Mm.
grab what is like the most adorable beach bag.
Mhm.
It's 23 fucking dollars. And I walk around the store not knowing if I should buy it. What is wrong, right? The psychology
Yeah,
of like
yeah,
no issue. And by the way, it was like 2 years ago. I'm like, oh, when we go to Cabo, this will be my pool bag and like I'll have all my things in it. 23.99. And I walked around the store that entire day, not knowing if I was going to buy it at the checkout, which I kind of laughed because I said to my son, literally the story I just explained to you about the Uggs in New York, because he was with me then. And he saw that emotion, like, Mom, why are you like emotional? I'm like, I didn't have to think about this. It was a fast decision. Now, I don't do that with everything, clearly, because I'm giving the alternative of a $23 bag where it's a relationship and it's a conversation. And you said internal dialogue. I laugh now because I did buy the bag, by the way, for anyone that's wondering. I bought the
yeah,
bag. And it's really cute. But it's this internal dialogue and it's what you subscribe to, it's what you don't subscribe to. And so how does investing in your financial education help you accelerate those financial goals, like those rules component, not budgeting per se, because that's kind of our next question. But
yeah,
what about investing in your financial education to help you accelerate your financial goals, which, by the way, would be connecting with someone, Nicole, in her
yeah.
programs? Okay, keep going.
Yes,
Little
yes.
plug there.
Thank you for your plug. I think that it's interesting because we as a society are very hesitant to invest in ourselves
Yeah.
because I think it comes back to that fear of, can things really improve? Are there really ways that I can do better at this? And that's really what learning about finances is believing. It's saying, I
Mm,
would like to become the best financial version of myself.
yeah.
And I know that maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe you are, right? Like nobody is, no, it's not that everybody needs financial coaching. We know we need financial coaching when it feels like our money is more like the aggressor or the victim of our money. I can't do
Yes.
that because
Right.
I don't have the money. I don't know, starting to feel anger, resentment
Mm,
about, like, those are clear signs that you're not in the best version of yourself financially.
yeah.
Um, and at the end of the day, if you want to be, sometimes, you know, some people are able to look online, read books, and take action. Great. Those
Yeah.
people don't need a financial coach because they can improve their lives by reading, by, self-knowledge. But then there's other people that know everything, right? Like anybody listening right now knows, oh, how can I be better with money? Oh, I need to save more money, or oh, I need to pay off my debt, or oh, I need to start investing, or I need to talk to my husband or my partner about money and we fight all the
Right.
time about it. Or right, like you know the things that you need to do, but the problem is the gap between knowledge and action,
Oh, so big.
it could be years long. And so
Yeah.
financial coaching is saying, okay, we either have a gap of knowledge or we have a gap of knowledge and action. And I want to invest in myself to make that gap smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, because I
Mm-hmm.
want somebody else who's a professional at helping people move through this a little bit faster to help me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it is something that some people can do totally on their own, right? And I find that our listeners, what camp you fall into. And
Right.
right, if you're somebody who needs help, go invest in yourself,
Sure.
learn about how can I make this better, because like you said, the reward is, it's your life, right?
Yep. Yep.
Your money is how you work. It's how you relax. It's how you
Mm-hmm.
take time off. It's how you spend time with your kids. It's how you talk to your spouse. Your money
Right.
is everything. And if that's negative, it
Oh.
doesn't have to be.
Mm. And it's interesting because the inaction part or taking action, and I'm big on this for, that career development, the accountability tool is like unbelievable. And for someone who's doing a fitness journey alone, it's the
Mm-hmm.
scale that's giving them the accountability, like you're not working hard enough. And then it's also, this is biggest thing for my audience, most of them, where do I start? Is it the
Yes.
budget? Is it the debt? Right. And is it the savings? But then it's like you fall back, or maybe you listen to, some other large financial names of like their wisdom. And it's interesting because when I opened a 401k when I was an employee, in hindsight, I'm like, I should have taken the free resource to just have a call with someone at the Insperity office. Can you talk me through my plan and what this looks like? They can't wait to talk about what they're, very knowledgeable in. And in hindsight, now I've got a whole different relationship. I've got a money market account that's giving me a great return for the cash I have on hand. I've got a DBP for me and Leah as employees with exceptional admins. And like, there's all these things, but I had to have the time and the energy to want to learn about it. And I definitely did not do it alone. So big thing here with Nicole is you could do it alone.
Yeah.
Might take you longer.
But also
Might
it
not, you might fall off the wagon kind of thing. And she's obviously not forcing herself on you, but she's clearly extremely knowledgeable. And I love the passion you have behind it. What
and
else?
I think it's also, like you said, the scale is accountability, like people's savings account. So using that same analogy for financial coaching, right? A really good fitness coach is able to see, oh, actually, you are spending all this time on cardio, right? You're
Got to
like doing
change it
this,
up a little
but
bit. Yeah.
actually, like
The
your body
program.
type, I think you'd have more success here. This is what I've seen. They have a whole wealth of knowledge. You know that phrase, you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And a lot of the people that I work with really have worked hard for a long time. But the
Yeah.
problem is they didn't know they were working on the wrong things.
Mm,
Because generic personal finance advice is very hard to, see, well, what's the most important for
for me.
me?
Yeah.
Right?
And then having that dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Just being able to sort of talk about it is key. And you can continue to read and read. And what I wanted so much with having you on the show and then the article that will release when this episode releases is giving the information, sending positive energy into the person that listens and reads the article to say, I'm ready to open the door to this journey that is a journey, right? The long game. Yeah, very cool. What are your go-to tips for budgeting?
So with budgeting, I think that there is so many spreadsheets online that I don't know if you're listening to this and you love those spreadsheets, you just tune me out. Okay. You tune me out, you go to your spreadsheets, you enjoy them and you stick with them. I hate those spreadsheets. I
Mhm.
hate them. They're so
Mhm.
annoying. They're like, oh, tell me how much you're going to spend on household items.
Right.
And, there's like 1,000 categories. The first thing I think is that the way that we budget as a society is very like anal retentive.
Yeah.
And it
It's
also
great for the
doesn't
perfectionist, but then
right,
there's
it
always a
doesn't work
curse with that.
for
Yeah.
the average person who has a life and doesn't just spend all day counting their pennies. So I think the first thing is to realize that maybe the way that you've tried to budget, if you don't like it, it's not the right type of budgeting for you. And there are other types out there.
Yeah.
Hear me out. If
Okay.
you have tried budgeting before and you say, I'm not good at this, no, the budget that you tried wasn't good for you.
That budget wasn't. And there's options, which is great. Optionality can be paralyzing, but because of that, there's the gift. Okay, I love it. Keep going.
Right. So it don't ever say that you're not good with money. It's just the things you've tried haven't worked for you. There are other options.
Mhm.
Right. That's the first thing. The second is instead of thinking about your budget as something that constrains you or that restricts you, I want you to think about your budget as something that gives you permission
Mm.
to do what you want in life.
Mm.
Right.
Mhm.
Your budget is the thing that you get to set up. Right? You get to decide, what do I want to do with my life? What do I want to enjoy? What do I not want to enjoy? And if you can look at it as, one of my another financial educator, she says your budget is your say yes plan. That's the budget
Oh.
which is like it's your permission slip to do the things you want.
Oh, that's great.
That kind of makes it a little more exciting to
Yeah.
approach a budget.
Right.
Um,
Look at it as positive, not a burden, not getting on the treadmill or watching paint dry. It doesn't have to be like
It
that.
does not have to be like
Yeah.
that. It can be something fun and exciting. I love gamification when it comes to
Mm,
financial goals. It's one of my favorite ways to just like spice things up because I get bored easily. I
sure.
also love to embrace automation. There's so many tools out there that didn't exist 30 years ago. So these personal finance people who are telling you this old school way of budgeting that you don't like, there are new ways that are
Mhm.
up and coming. The only problem is the old financial, experts are still the only ones who are getting the screen time. So that's all we hear about. That doesn't mean
Mhm.
you isn't other
That's
options.
right.
So
That's right.
give yourself some flexibility, make it simple, use automation, and allow yourself to be learning something.
Mm,
Allow it
hmm.
to not be perfect. One of the biggest mistakes I see in my clients before they come and as they're going through coaching is that we have a very all or nothing viewpoint
So
of money.
true. I
Yeah,
say for my audience, just to insert, I want you to be reaching high, but because maybe you got close to it and not at that universal bar of excellence, it doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean
correct.
you didn't learn something. It doesn't mean you didn't pivot a little bit. And that's my overachievers, which I celebrate them. But the curse that comes with that, just like perfectionist curses, everything usually has a gift and a curse. The curse that comes with that is, well, I didn't reach it. I'm done. I'm out. And I'm
Mhm.
thinking, no, you had to have learned one thing. And what
Correct.
can we do with that one thing to further and, invite more energy to keep going? And so I love that. I love
Yes.
that.
I
Uh,
love using every month as an opportunity to learn about yourself and to change things up, right?
yeah.
Like knowing that it's not going to be perfect the first time, it's a skill that you're learning. And the last thing that I would tell people about budgeting is get curious.
Ugh.
So when you do your budget, when you look at your money and you're upset about something, right?
Mm,
You're upset,
mm-hmm.
I don't have enough money for this, I don't have enough money for that, I'm frustrated. Instead of saying, this sucks. Like for me, right? Like I can't, right? You can have that compassion,
Sure.
but ask yourself a question of curiosity, which is, how could I?
Lip it.
How
Mm-hmm.
much, how much would I need to? What
Mm-hmm.
would I need to do to? Right? That curiosity puts you in a place of solutions and we're smart. Our brain, when we put it in the place to start coming up with solutions, it will start coming up with solutions.
So true. And I can't help but just think you've created this um, bottleneck for yourself because, granted, I'm not punishing anyone by saying this, but if you continue to subscribe and have these non good serving mindset and the feedback loop, um, you hold yourself back. And I
Right.
was talking about this actually last night as well. Like, it's a lot of extra energy to serve from a place of positivity. It's
Yeah.
super easy for us, which is why propaganda and news is, always negative because it's like, oh, let's feed that. That's the wrong dopamine. We don't want that reward, right? We want that positivity, seeing a micro shift. And I think you did something beautiful that I love by indicating month over month,
Yeah.
right?
It's a
Month over month. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Awesome. As we get here to the end, so excited. Any kind of closing thoughts? I will have a ton of notes in the show notes for the show. And when this video goes up on YouTube, where to find you. But give us like that one last thing and where people can find you.
Yeah. So, what I want you to take away from this is that wherever you are right now is not fixed with money.
Mm,
That if you can take one piece, it's knowing that there is a path for you. It's not overnight. There are no quick fixes. There is no magic pill that I can give you, but I can give you a magic pill of saying that you have hope it could be better.
yeah.
Because if you have hope it could be better, you're smart as hell. You'll
Yeah.
start to make a plan and you'll
Yeah.
start to make it happen. So know that where you are right now is not fixed. And if
Hmm.
you decide that you want to go faster, you're like, I have been doing this on my own for years and I'm
Yeah.
sick of it and I know I'm stuck. And I would like to get help from somebody who's a professional at doing this and somebody who's ethical, knowing that, a lot of the financial industry, they charge you based on the percentage they get of your investments, or they take a part of what they give you, right? The beauty of working with a financial coach is that, at least our company, we are hourly, which means you pay our fee. We don't we don't get paid by somebody else to steer you in a certain way. Financial
Yeah.
coaches are about what's in your best interest and helping you create that for yourself, giving you those skills. Please reach out to us. We host free classes every single month where we
Mm.
are teaching women how they can take control over their finances. We have one coming up in 2 weeks. My best-selling program is the Financial Goal Accelerator. It is getting a huge facelift. It's a year-long transformational program we've had so many people go through. It is opening up this spring for one time. It opened up one time last year and then it booked out, and we're going to open it up twice this year. So if you are listening to this in the spring or fall, go to our website, sign up to come to our free class. We
Mm,
teach our 4 steps to financial success and to not feel stressed about money. So you can always
mm.
attend one of our free classes about financial stress or about investing, because our goal is that we want to give as much free value so that women can take action in their finances and rewrite their story.
Oh my gosh, you're so great. Nicole, this was wonderful. Everyone, thank you so much for hitting play and listening. Thank you to the live audience that came in. And everyone, thank you so much.